Yes, we are partying, Knick fans. Yes, we are. Good morning, good morning. That's right. I'm pulling out the driveway on this one this morning, boy. Cause man, my Knickerbocker squad done gave me a game to watch last night. And there's a lot to get into with it. That's fair. You know what I mean? It's fair to say there's a lot to dissect. So we'll start at the beginning, which I missed because I was doing a Candid Corner show last night. So I start watching the game. Julius hits two threes almost back to back. We up 8-0. And I'm like, okay, cool. Party time. I'm done with the show. I get back to watching the game, second quarter, and all of a sudden, and I see that we're down. And I'm like, because I'm hearing all kinds of cheers and claps and stuff. My wife is watching upstairs and all that while I'm doing the show. And then I'm hearing Mike breathe, and I'm hearing all these wonderful sounds, and I'm thinking we killing them. And I go, because I don't watch the scores when I'm doing the show, and I try not to be distracted with that. So I literally had no idea what was going on until I finished the show, wrapped up, and then came upstairs. Second quarter comes. They struggled a little bit. I come upstairs. All of a sudden, we go on a run. I love when that happens. Now, the run came, the run went, and we were still down by 3 by halftime. But I don't really worry about 5-point lead, stuff like that with these Knicks. You know what I mean? Because guess what? The fourth quarter is the fourth quarter. And in true Knick fashion from last year, I'll say, because that's the new fashion, of course. In true Knick fashion, we came back, we took the lead, and we kind of was supposed to be winning that game from that point on. But in true first day back fashion, so to speak, yeah, we blew that, and we let that daggone Boston team back in. Jaylen Brown went the hell off, but that's what he does. I mean, he's good. He's wild good. Him and Jason Tatum, they are wild good. You know what I mean? And because of those two players, Boston is going to be in every game. But I tell you one thing that I was glad to see and that I wanted and I had called for, especially during the overtime. I wanted Dennis Schroeder shooting that ball instead of them other guys because he isn't those other guys. You know what I mean? So I was actually glad, and that might have been something that helped save the win for us was having Schroeder shoot. Now, I am going to get into the meat a little bit with this game because while first and foremost, fam, we won the game. And starting off 1-0 and against a scrappy team like Boston, you know what I mean? That was a very important first win for us. Statistical things aside, it was a very important first win. You know what I mean? Because we could have easily lost that game. And that would be a little telling as well. Now, one thing that I will say, but it's the same thing that we knew preseason and we knew with these players coming in. Kemba and Evan got to get used to our defensive system. Because, quite honestly, if anyone was beat the majority of the time during the game, it was them two because they're not used to, you know what I mean? And Evan closing out on that double team instead of tracking his man. Listen, I understand what he was trying to do. And if nothing else happened on that play, it would have worked and it would have been fine. But Unfortunately, that's not what happened. You know, his trailer saw another trailer, and next thing you know, Marcus Smart shooting a three. And Kemba is down by Marcus Smart, but directs his angle toward the paint. Now, again, why are you doing that when you see Marcus Smart camped out at the 3-point line? You stay with him. The ball is coming to him. There's nobody in the paint. There's nobody for him to pass to. He's gonna shoot that ball. You gotta stay there. You know what I mean? But again, I'm not stressing. There's no stress in this melodious voice of mine. There's not a bit, not a twinge. What else? What else? Yeah, I'm glad that Evan Fournier scored 30 points. That was nice. And I'm glad that, he had, it was a Knicks debut in the first game and all that. That's nice. But honestly, I'm not necessarily here to see Evan Fournier scoring 30 points and RJ is lost in the offense. They got to work on that because they're already deferring to Fournier. And I'm glad RJ stepped it up in the second half. But he's got to be one of the stirs in the glass that stirs the drink, man. So we got to make sure we can't afford to have him, ghosted. And, Mike Green and everybody was talking about, when you have a team like this, sometimes players will have to sacrifice. And my wife was like, maybe RJ has to sacrifice. And I'm like, you don't want a third-year player to sacrifice. That's, in my humble opinion, that's not helping that player and that's not helping your org. The vets are the ones that should be deferring, in my humble opinion. Like, I expected Fournier to more defer and just be there for the 3-and-D kind of stuff. But again, everybody's getting used to each other. Everybody's getting comfortable with each other. And last night was the first real in-game action. Yes, there was a preseason, but a lot of things and a lot of different rotations and stuff come out during the preseason. You know what I mean? People aren't playing those kind of minutes. And with the exception of MSG, it's usually not that intense. But, yeah, that's what I see. And, I mean, Randall, I love Randall. I very, very, very much do. He's still our engine, and he went off last night. I just don't necessarily like the elongated dribble breakdown moves and stuff. You know what I mean? Get it in motion, get it in flow of the offense. To me, that stuff kind of stagnates the offense a bit. You know what I mean? And it forces people to stand around pretty much and watch you dribble. You know what I mean? Defenders are doing that, but the offense is doing that as well. So, but again, a lot of this stuff I feel like will be cleaned up within the coming weeks. We're going to see a little bit more of it before it's done. But then, once it's done, I feel like it's done. I feel like Tibbs is going to address these things. So, and the players themselves are going to look at film and continue to get comfortable and continue to play for one another. Now, that I definitely saw. The chemistry is built. You know what I mean? Kemba going up to RJ at the end of a timeout like that, and everybody bumping up Evan, and yeah, it was cool. Now, did we need to go into overtime? No, and we really need to shore that defense up. And honestly, it really surprised me that Kemba had those two major turnovers at the end of the game in the closing seconds. You know what I mean? We can talk about defense all day, but if he just holds the ball and doesn't turn it over, it's a much easier evening for us. You know what I mean? So, and of course, I do not expect that to happen again. I just found it a little interesting and odd that it happened in the first place, to be honest. But again, I look at this whole like it's the first game because it is. Uh, it was exciting. The garden was packed. The garden was rocking. Big shouts to Nick and Tater, to I Hate Sean, to Anthony MSG, to my brother Danny B, and all the folk that were in the building last night, repping and holding it down. Big shouts to everybody who was at home or on their phones watching, supporting. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So tomorrow we got our first road game. It's back at MSG, so we don't have to worry about that ESPN or TNT nonsense. But you know what? ESPN did it right last night. They know Knicks fans can't stand watching on their programming, especially because they be having some corny behind folk calling the Knicks games. But when you got Nick Hall of Famer Mike Breen, former Knick head coach Jeff Van Gundy, and former All-Star player Mark Jackson, it's like it's home, so I don't mind at all. You know what I mean? If they gonna have that crew calling all the Knick games on the Nationals, then that's what's up. I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Sign me up right now. So yo, man, the season has begun, and already folk are mad and all that. Yeah. There's a thread on my Candid Corner Twitter, on my Candid Corner Twitter, and they go off. There's literally two factions. There's called the UFC and the good fans. Nick fans are so illmatic that they got factions. Like, come on, man. You know you can't make this up, man. Ain't no other fan base in the world doing this the way we do it. Yo, all love. Thank y'all for watching. Watch the games tomorrow. Continue to do your commenting and content creators. Oh, let's get it. We got it now. You know what I mean? Go Knicks. Great win. Double OT. They getting some rest today. They might do a walkthrough. Excuse me, or go over some film, but they ain't practicing today. They getting that rest up, and then they got to travel. So hopefully they'll get some more rest tomorrow and get at least a half a practice or something in before the game tomorrow night. You know, again, I'm always about shoring up things that you see, you know what I mean, and not letting it linger. You know, so we got to do that, and hopefully by Monday we 3-0. That's how I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? Hopefully by Monday we 3-0. You know what I mean? That may or may not last, but by Monday we'll be 3-0. So, and I know Orlando may not be feeling that vibe, but hey, it is what it is, man. Great game, great job, great first game back, and on to the next. I'm out of here. Thank you all for listening. I always appreciate you. I will talk to you soon. Next minute, out.